Thank you all for coming out. It is our pleasure to have you all here at Council Chambers. The purpose of this meeting is an open public workshop in regards to the Riverview Park Master Plan. We did have multiple community meetings that we had workshop settings about 8 to 10 months ago on this, in which we received input from the public on many different elements that they wanted to see in the plan. So this is not the first public workshop that we've had on this item. So this has come through numerous public workshops in addition to discussions that have been had in a couple different committees within the city. So today our purpose is we're going to have our consultant present 2 conceptual plans to you all to provide comment and feedback on. Once he's completed with that element of his presentation, we'll then open it up and allow the public to ask questions or provide, feedback and statements on items that you like, you dislike. I just asked that in the question portion, if someone has already asked that exact same question, due to limited time that we do have, we want to get to as many people as we can, try to refrain from asking the same question over and over. To get it kicked off, so you'll see we've got conceptual plan A here, conceptual plan B, and then you'll see some enlargement areas that enlarge certain elements within the park. That doesn't mean it's going to look exactly like that. It's meant to give you an idea of a concept that we're looking at. Once again, this is conceptual plan. It has not gone to City Council for any formal approval. That will be our next step based on the feedback we receive and the public input. It'll then go to City Council for approval. At that time, we will get more into the details of developing construction plans and specific elements in which we'll once again allow public involvement in those elements as well. So just want to make that clear. The last thing I'm going to state, standing here before you, my name is Brian Benton. I'm the city manager for Sebastian. Sorry I didn't introduce myself before I started. We've got our council members are all here in attendance here tonight. We got Mayor Bob McPartland, Vice Mayor Fred Jones, Council Member Ed Dodd, Council Member Kelly Dixon, and we've got Council Member Chris Nunn is available on Zoom. He is not in attendance in person tonight. So I'm going to turn it over. Our Kimley Horn is our consultant on this project. It's been a long process that we've gone through, and they are the ones that are responsible for kind of taking what has been presented to the city from public engagement, staff input, and kind of presenting these 2 options here tonight. I will state, standing before you right here tonight, that staff at the current time, just so that we're clear, staff at the current time is, supportive of the concept B, which does not move the Veterans Memorial. So that is that. I'm just going to preface that. That's not saying that it's not going to happen based on public input, but currently staff's stance currently is concept B is kind of one thing that we're looking at in regards to specifically the Veterans Memorial. There's other elements to this concept that may move across concepts, but that is one thing that we're looking at now. So I'm going to turn it over to Kyler from Kimley Horn and let him kind of go through. We'll pull up the plans on the big screen, and I'll try to have the mouse. We'll zoom in a little bit and try to go over the elements as he's covering them.
Thank you, Brian. My name's Kyler. I'm a landscape architect over with Kimley Horn Associates. Appreciate you guys all coming out. Pleasure to present the 2 concepts over the course of the process of breaking down this park and understanding the pros and cons, getting feedback of what you guys wanted to see in terms of uses, programmatic uses, and then laying out those concepts in terms of their suitability to be located adjacent to each other, whether it be active or passive uses. For concept A, for example, some of the more significant elements that impacted the design and layout were, yes, the Veteran Memorial relocation, the playground relocation, locating a pavilion for like a bandstand or performance stage, incorporating the additional parking into the park for those large events, allowing for additional spaces for tents and other kiosks for people during those special events every single weekend throughout the year, Um, the volleyball area also got relocated kind of outside of the central area of the park. So those are the main elements of Concept A. The reason we're looking at relocating the Veterans Memorial in the first place is we got feedback that during those special events and memorial events that they host, it is really hot. People often are, standing out there for quite some time during those events. And we were like, okay, what's a good way to justify moving this into more of a central park location where we have a lot of canopy coverage of the oaks. And yes, it's kind of as it is today, it's kind of disjunctioned from the remainder of the park. It seemed like there was a better way for people to walk through and appreciate the Veterans Memorial and enjoy the space under the coolness of the shade. So we're like, okay, let's provide something that allows people to see it and enjoy it during those special events, and then provide a larger space for them to host multitudes of people. So for that specific area, we were looking at doing a cascading waterfall, which you can probably see, to help screen not only visually the backside of US 1, but we'd also enhance that with some landscape plantings and beautify that, really make it an enjoyable space. But B, the cascading waterfall would help tone down any traffic or sounds coming from the road itself. Yes, it's still a road. You're going to hear stuff, but at least it's more enjoyable because it's under the canopy. It's got that cooling waterfall sound and ambiance that you could experience during those memorial events. But also it becomes more visually apparent from US 1 as you're driving through Sebastian. Hey, this is our Veterans Memorial. It is a beautiful statement for the park. So that was that portion of that concept. In doing so, we'd open up a space next to the already existing splash pad. Yes, we would propose reconfiguring the splash pad to help make it more enjoyable for the kids. Right now, it's a square with some shade structures with like 3 or 4 splash elements. We were wanting to incorporate more elements with some different shade sails to make it more enjoyable for the kids, but also for the parents, make it an interesting paving pattern, and kind of work it into the landscape around it, while also having the playground adjacent to it be more of a suitable use for that current location, so that we don't have to run pipes further down the road or across the street. All the plumbing and electrical capabilities are already there. You're just enhancing it and repairing it in the process with the funds that they would find. In doing so, we looked at closing down Harrison Street to allow more of those event spaces, safer connection from the main park, what seems to be the majority of the park, active space. I apologize. To connect it to the playground, splash pad, and also additional parking we were proposing, creating a safer pedestrian connection to the central park to the south of the park, all the way to the parking to the north. We looked at all the configurations for the existing sidewalks, and then enhancing those or proposing additional connections so that it's an enjoyable walk, it's safe, it's secure. In doing so, we also proposed a bus stop drop-off area at Harrison Street. Right now there's no current bus stop anywhere close to the park. I mean, it's probably a quarter mile north or south of the park or more. So by providing a space for the bus route to come, drop off any user, like people, community members that want to enjoy the space that don't want to take a car, they just want to walk to the park, giving them that option. And then the other major element was providing the pavilion, which is in both concepts, located that more to the northeast, where the playground was, kind of in the open space of the existing canopy. so that it gave a nice backdrop to the water as you have the performance, but it's also people can sit underneath the shade of the existing trees rather than having the performance bandstand out near the water where there's not any current existing canopy, and thus, proposing the volleyball. That area also floods quite a bit. It's the first place to flood, holds water for quite some time. That's a flexible use space for that concept. So that's, a lot of the elements that played into concept A. Concept B was looking at, keeping the Veterans Memorial where it's at, enlarging the paving area because it's really not dysfunctional because you guys still use it, but it is the concrete could be configured differently, or the paving could be configured differently so it feels more unified as a space itself. Still using those elements of the flag and the four chaplains fountain as anchor points, just kind of enlarging the space so that it feels like a unified space. Adjacent to it, we were proposing flexible, kind of decomposed, stabilized gravel space that could be used as like a food truck event, beer garden space during during those special events for the entirety of the park, and or additional parking if needed. But it plays into, again, that Harrison Street closure for the safer connection from the main park, body of the park, to the parking, the Veterans Memorial, et cetera, to the south. Same thing, bus stop, and the pavilion to the northeast. In both concepts, I didn't touch on this, we were proposing enhancing the backdrop of that pavilion, with a stormwater boardwalk. So enhancing that with some plants to help absorb some of that water that could stand during high event storm events, but also utilizing that space as some of an enjoyable walk through the storm water plantings, the bioswale had, albeit. And then the other element to concept B was locating the splash pad and the playground just north of the Harrison Street closure. So it's still within that active use space area, still uses some of the shade canopy coverage for the playground, a little bit more sun for the splash pad, and ties into the active use area of the Harrison, of the pedestrian plaza. In both concepts, we were proposing additional parking along Harrison Street for either A, food trucks during those events, or B, everybody knows how busy it gets during those events. So any way we can add parking to the area, the better. And then connecting that into the river walk that's currently there, just enhancing that a little bit with paving and shade structures and plantings along the way, just to make a consistent, unified look. And then also touching on pavilions on both concepts, introducing larger pavilions at key locations around the park, one of which was out by the piers to help draw some attraction. Because right now the piers aren't being used as much as I feel like they should be, because they're just exposed, they're hot. Even fishermen don't really use it because the condition of the water adjacent to the shore is not suitable for fish. I mean, there's no draw, there's no habitat for that currently. Those are the main elements that I would say that from concept A to concept B. Brian, do you have anything that you think I need to touch on? I guess, yeah, there's some elements like the plaza to the at the Sebastian US 1. We were looking at enhancing that corner because it's the first corner you see coming into Sebastian from 512 or southbound from this the city downtown district, providing some sort of archway entrance that, says this is Riverview Park. Moving the clock tower from the north side to more interior to the park just on the south side of that parking, and bringing it more unified to the park. Right now, it's just standing out there, kind of, I don't, not the word salt. I can't think of the word. I apologize, but yeah, there you go. Thank you. A little help, I appreciate that. We're all human, we forget some things. But yeah, just in general, looking at enhancing the park with understory plantings and elements throughout the park that we feel could, really allow everybody from the kids to the veterans to event goers to enjoy the park to its fullest. And we'd love to hear some feedback from you on those concepts.
Yeah, so real quick, I'm just going to touch on one quick thing, funding. So I know that's been a question, and it was discussed at the public input workshops that we had a few months ago on where did this come from and how is the funding. So the number one thing that came to mind, well, there's two elements to this. One is the splash pad that we currently have has to be replaced. We had budgeted $1 million to replace the splash pad in this year's budget or next year's budget. I don't remember initially how it was funded. That was budgeted. As we started to look at that, we decided, well, we could utilize some grant funding if we can look at the entire park on how we want to move forward with the park and enhance that. The second thing is our portable stage unit that we have. It's reaching the end of its life as well. And a replacement stage of that nature, you're looking in the ballpark of around $200,000 or more for that portable stage that we have. So those were kind of two key factors that we were looking at initially for funding on this that was going to have to be funded by the city. So with that, we took a deep dive into it and started to look at grant options that we had. We've applied for numerous grants for this project, and I just want to highlight a couple. So currently to date, we looked at this project when we initially kind of kicked it off, and we were looking at a total project cost somewhere in the range of a $3 million number. However, it has to be subsidized by grant funding. We weren't going to commit $3 million of city funds to this project. Our whole idea behind this was utilizing grant funding to limit the exposure for city funds to have to be spent. So with this, currently we have received 3 grants for this project. One is a federal grant. We were awarded. We're waiting on the documents to get the final approval and signatures and all that stuff. Grant applications go in, they make a determination, and then following that, we get the paperwork to formalize the grant. That is a land and water conservation grant. We applied for $1.5 million for that grant. We were awarded $1.5 million. So that's initially up front. Now, we've been awarded, we haven't received the final paperwork, we're still waiting for that to come through. So just want to state that for now, but that's $1.5 million of this project. We have also received a Florida Inland Navigational District Water Assistance Program grant. We applied for $50,000. This was more for design, concept, things like that, to kind of get the project kick-started. We were awarded that one for $50,000. And we also received a fund assistance program for one of the docks that we applied for $40,000 to do some work on one of those, which we received as well. So currently we have received $1,590,000 committed and awarded in grants, federal and state level. We have pending applications for a total of $1.5 million additional in grants that we have applied for. Honestly, I don't know either way whether we'll get those. Those are things that we've applied for. One is a Division of Arts and Cultural Facilities grant for $25,000. One is a Division of Arts and Culture Riverview Park for $500,000. And one is a fine grant for Phase 1 construction for $1 million. So we're kind of trying to utilize those grants as much as we can. Obviously, as we get further down this, we hope to start to receive some responses on these additional grants and finalize the ones we've been awarded. But I can assure you that we won't commit $3 million from the city. I got council members in here and they're not going to do that. They're not going to give me the authority for that. So I just know that, I'm telling you right now. So if that was the end result was we get no grant funding, majority of this doesn't happen. There are some elements we have to go forward with. The splash pad has to be replaced, but the overall element doesn't put the city on the hook for $3 million, I can tell you that. So knowing that, this time I'll open it up for some question and answers, and I do just want to recognize we have staff here as well. So if I can't answer, they can probably assist as well. But we'll start right here.
We're official. Okay. My name is Pearl. I'm a former teacher, and I got involved in designing a playground where I used to live. So I had a little experience, and I just want to suggest those of you who have had kids, a 3-year-old can barely walk, an 8-year-old will run you over. So what we asked our park designer to do was separate those areas from toddler, from the older elementary school kids, which she did. But when it came to the water park, she decided to make it one big water park. So I had 8-year-olds on bicycles mowing over 3-year-olds in the water area. So my suggestion is to put a fence around make sure there's a fence so you can't ride your bicycle through it. And then getting back to the bicycle thing, where we live now, many driveways are at an angle, if you've noticed. So if you're trying to teach someone to ride a bike with training wheels or they've got their little scooter, it's impossible. And where I live, there's only a sidewalk on one side of the road, so that makes it impossible. And I'm just wondering, I don't know how this would affect the budget, Indian River Drive in between Harrison and 512, I was wondering if you could shut that down. People can make a turn and go around it. You don't need to drive through there, and turn that flat asphalt area into a place where kids could practice riding their bike, practice their skateboard, practice their scooter, because there's really not much flat land around here. And I'm looking at the design, which looks fabulous, by the way. I love the stormwater idea, that they need an asphalt area to practice that.
Thank you for your input. We'll take notes and we'll consider that as we go forward. And yes, the splash pad, sir, we'll communicate with them. So the splash pad currently does have fencing around it, and we will look at that as we go forward with that as well in the future once we do this project. Richard, doing it? Hold on. You got to have the mic because we're recording it.
I've been blessed. We've had a house here in Sebastian for over 21 years. It is a great town. There's no doubt about that. My main concern is I'm also a veteran. I'm also retired law enforcement. And one of the reasons why we have such a great town here is because of the people that are running our town now and all of our elected officials. Having said that, I was out there today for about 2 hours, and for 2 hours, I spoke to numerous individuals. Every single one of the individuals I spoke to that was a veteran, such as myself. There is no way that they want that the Veterans Memorial moved. No way. My personal opinion, and I mean no detriment to this whatsoever, I hope that anybody that decided that should be moved, I was curious if they were a veteran or not. That means a heck of a lot more than people, with all due respect, sir, than people seeing it off of Route 1. One of the reasons why we decided to build our home here was because of the way the waterfront is, and looking at, from the Veterans Memorial, the splash pad, what have you, the beautiful views out to the river. Having said that, without a doubt, I am against moving that, 100%. Having said that, walking all around down there, and I do it frequently, all of the docks need to be fixed. They have to be, all the wood has to be replaced by the Trex, okay? Not only for the walkways, but also for the railings. And I also have a history of construction. I was in the construction for 20 years, in industrial and commercial. okay? The railings have to be replaced. The lighting has to be refurbished on the docks. Right now, it's not up to code. And the reason I know of that is I have a master's electrical license in the state, okay? The billboards need to be replaced. We need more garbage cans out there. I was very appreciative, Kyle, of what speaking to me previously. You're extremely knowledgeable. You're very talented. Thank you, by the way. But we need more garbage cans out there. We need cabanas out there, like you were stating. We need out there by the two large docks, okay? We need roofs, and we need more seating out there so people can not only enjoy the Riverview, which is magnificent, but also the view for the memorial. I mean, the memorial is sacred to me. I noticed the surveyors are out there today, and in questioning them and speaking to you, I understand everything has to be surveyed and everything else. But I noticed you brought up about the shade and the cover and everything else. A guy a long time ago by the name of Johnny Appleseed, you know, he knew how to plant trees. If we need additional shade coverage, we can plant trees. I totally agree that the water park should be refurbished. Without a doubt, they should have a fence around it because we all know kids, okay? And we want kids to be kids. I like the idea of closing the road down next to the dry cleaners and that one little watering hole they have there in the corner. As far as parking is concerned, heading south along Riverview, isn't there a large area where you could accommodate what the young lady was saying regarding maybe a little blacktop area for bicycles and what have you? I know when the town and the county redid out there where the ball fields are and everything else with the little pavilion, I believe Wayne Tazzola was involved in the pavilion. Guys did a great job out there. You guys are handling this town. I have to commend the politicians now in this town for doing a fantastic job. I love the idea of getting the grant money. We all know grant money is all tax dollars, but I like the idea that you're trying to use our money judiciously and practically. Whatever you do, and I will fight it by tooth and nail, and believe me, I will. Don't move that. Do not move that Veterans Memorial thing. I take that personally. Oh, and as far as the dock out there for police boat, I think that's a great idea. The reason I think that's a great idea, obviously I'm prejudiced. Being law enforcement myself, thank you for your service. I think that's a great idea because even though that we have the Coast Guard and we have the Sheriff's Department and we have the game wardens or whatever, you can never have enough boats on the water. That's my opinion. I hope I didn't bore anybody. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir, for providing your feedback. So hold on. So I forgot to state, no clapping because we are going to have opinions that you may not agree with. So let's just stay away from the clapping, and I get it. Everybody agrees with certain elements. We'll go right here first.
Thank you. Yeah, Steve Hamlin, American Legion Post 189, also Sebastian Area Veterans Honor Guard. I'm all in for Concept B from what I've seen. Like you, Ned, I was wholly against moving the memorials, and obviously for all the obvious reasons. Concept B looks pretty good, and it's still in the conceptualized stages, right? But is there a provision for pads to put honor guard rifle, rifle bearers and a flag line out there like it is now? You know the pads we have out there.
So yes, that will happen. We will. Let me just clarify one thing. The Veterans Memorial on Concept B, we may do some small changes around it, but the main portion of that area won't change at all, but we will consult with the veterans groups if you have any additional needs, such as the areas for your rifles and all that stuff. All that stuff we will consult with you all and get feedback from you all on that.
Very good. I'd just like to reiterate what Ned said. You guys do a great job. It's not easy, and most of you are veterans. We have at least 4, right? Am I missing anybody? But Ed, you're one of the 4, right? Yeah, 4. Okay. It's certainly Fred, Ed, Bob, Chris. Chris is not here, but very good. Thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Brody Vance. I'm just a local here. I grew up around Sebastian, and I'm really impressed with you guys. This all looks amazing. Thank you guys for having us here tonight. I just had a question about, so moving, I like concept B. I like the idea of not moving the Veterans Memorial. Is it going to be more expensive to move the splash pad? Because I'm a plumber. I know the kind of cost that can go into material and everything. I feel like moving it towards the main park area is just going to be more costly. I don't really know if I like the idea of it being right next to the dry park. I feel like that could just cause issues with wet kids going on there, dry kids coming back and forth. You know, I heard my mother say that she thought that was a bad idea as well, just because, you know, being a mother, she's like, I know kids that you're going to see the splash pad, they're going to go to the splash pad, see the splash pad, you know, back and forth. And I'm not really a big fan of the idea of where the splash pad where it was. I don't think that's a good use of the space, like the gravel area and the different 2 parking spots for food trucks. I think the splash pad's in a great area. I don't think it should move. I think it'd be a little expensive. I think everything else looks really great. I like the volleyball courts where they are. I think that's pretty neat. Maybe a pickleball court if you guys are feeling a little crazy. Yeah. And yeah, I think it all looks great, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for your input. I think there was.
If people were concerned about being hot by the memorial area, can they put sails over there instead of hard metal things?
Yeah, so one of the things we will be looking at, if the final decision that is made is concept B, we will be looking at ways to improve the shade over the existing structures. Okay. Yes.
Because that is, I agree that it should stay there. I also agree that the splash park should stay where it's at, instead of moving them over and having that expense of the plumbing. The other one I wanted to know, I see something over there. Is that going to be like a kayak access?
So you're talking about where number 1 is, where you got a finger dock that goes out there
Yes.
with the 3 fingers? Is that what you're referencing?
Yes.
Yes, so, or it might be number 7, sorry. Yes, the plan for that is to look into the feasibility of installing a floating dock for the launch of kayaks and canoes from that area. It is currently a beach access point for kayaks and canoes. That's not going to change. It's just we're going to look at the feasibility. We don't know right now at this point in the concept that it will work because of the wave action that we get from an east-northeast wind there in that lagoon area there. But that is something that we wanted to include on here for consideration and input, that is a possibility in that area.
Then if that doesn't come to pass, maybe a sign that's saying this is where the kayaks can beach and can get out in the water. Because we tell people all the time, they're way down there, hoofing it all the way down this way with their kayaks. We have to tell them that they can park right there, drop off their kayak, and go back.
Correct. Yes, we can improve the signage there for sure. And right there, Mr. Denise. Ma'am, could you just pass it right there to green shirt?
Okay.
John Denise. I appreciate all the work that you've done and the talent that you've shown that you can do here. I watched Florida come from competing with Texas, with cattle, then becoming a farm state, and now we're just building houses mostly. But during that time, Sebastian, the waterfront, was what kept Sebastian, I think, attractive, and our draw was bringing people in. I'm not sure. I've served, well, the city says 40-plus years. They weren't sure either. They gave me a nice plaque. I appreciate that. But I'm not sure how long I've been on these committees either. But I don't think we need to put that effort into that park there. I think you could use your talents other ways. as some of you know, and I know you know, I have a big mouth and I'm talking to people all the time, and I'm always asking for opinions and questions because I'm not the smartest guy. And I walk that, I won't say daily, but multiple times a week and talk to many people. And I've had nobody tell me we need to spend more to upgrade. Yeah, they tell me about it'd be nice at lights at nighttime. It'd be nice if we had the docks fixed up. There's not, dogs are not supposed to be on there. Why am I doing that? I hear all this other kind of stuff. But I haven't had one person tell me that we need to go through the expense here. And what you're telling, I think you could find another project in the city of Sebastian that'd be useful. I appreciate the work, and I know how hard it is to get grants, but just because we could get the grants, I'm sure you'll find a way to get grants someplace else for other work. But this is something I don't think we need, and I don't think that, and my fear is it's gonna, you know, people look at Sebastian, they'll look at it a different way. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. And just, I know one thing was brought up about grants there. We have a full list of grants that we've applied for other park projects, stormwater projects, police department projects. So we've applied for in the range of around 23 grants, I think, in the last 18 months. So these aren't the only grants we're applying for. So I just want to be clear on that. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Damian Gilliams. My family owns the little watering hole in the corner there on Harrison Street in US 1. I'd like to really thank everybody for being here tonight. I'm really excited about this project. I spend most of my week right there on that front lawn looking at this park. I love going down to the Veterans Memorial. I really hope they don't move it. I have a lot of veterans that are very close friends of mine, and I feel very passionately that that should stay right where it's at. I'm going to try and move very quickly. I have a handful of points. Living right there on that street, our business has been there for 32 years. The facility has been there since the early 70s, actually before the Sebastian even owned the park. The amphitheater, we're really excited about the amphitheater. We talked to a lot of people that are really excited about the amphitheater. I hope we get some audio engineers and we build it really great, because people come from all over to really great amphitheaters, and music is about what Sebastian's about, being outside in the music. That's what we love. Proximity for parking with the Veterans Memorial, I think it's really important that that stays close. There's a lot of disabled veterans and people that have a hard time if you move it into the middle of the park. I feel really strongly about closing the street. Obviously, our business is on that street. It will affect us as well as the other business that's on that street. We have a lot of customers that come that way, as well as emergency services. If a fire truck has to come to our business, that's the direction they come through. And instead, with both plans proposed today, they will have to pull through a gravel parking lot to get to us. There's a lot of alternatives to closing the street. You could put a stop sign there. They're already going to put cobblestone down. That alone is going to make you slow down. You could put a fountain in the middle of the street and dedicate it to the veterans as well. So you stop at the stop sign and you look at the fountain. You allow the kids to pass. You could do a curvy street. There's just so many other solutions besides closing down a street that two businesses use 365 days a year. We love the events. The events are great, but you don't do that 365 days a year, and we operate 365 days a year. So I hope that this plan goes back and that you guys give another opportunity to come up with other solutions besides closing down a main artery to Indian River Drive. My biggest concern, actually, is that we're going to spend $3 million on a park, and we're not increasing our bathrooms, and we're going to continue to bring in porta potties to events that people serve food. Your vendors are using the porta potty corral. There's no porta potty corral on this map. I don't know where you're planning on putting them. Right now, you put them where you're planning on putting your vendors, and you're not accommodating for 7,000 people to show up in the heat, 4th of July, stinky, hot porta potties. Can I interest anybody in any French fries? Come on. We would love to see some grills in the park. We love grilling. And there's a lot of really great things that you guys are doing here, and I hope that this plan goes back, takes into account what everybody here today has to say, and that we can really enjoy this park plan for the next 30, 40 years. That's how long I've been enjoying it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Damian Gilliams, and I'm senior. And I will fight you if you try to shut that street down, just like that other gentleman said. I'm fighting City Hall on my food truck, on my commercial property for my restaurant. They're spending $30,000 to defend that. That's a waste of taxpayers' money. Now, I've been there a long time. And if you think I'm going to go and let you shut that road down, affect my business, I think in the real estate business, we call that inverse condemnation. That's called damaging my property, damaging my life's income, my family's income, and you can rest assured we will challenge this. And I don't mean that to be a threat, but the reason why we're having this meeting is because I got wind of it going to the city council. There was not going to be another meeting. And I thought that was wrong. I thought when I came to the 2 meetings in the beginning to get the input, I didn't see anything about a road being closed. Okay, well, I have pictures of all I took pictures of everything. I didn't see that there. Maybe they talked about it, but there were no pictures there that I recall. And I'll take another look at the photography I did. I documented those pictures for a reason. You know, when we saw it coming out for the city council agenda, that night there was 4 emergency vehicles that pulled up. We're there from 7 in the morning to 1 o'clock at night. We are the community's eyes on that park. We see everything that goes on there, even naked people running through the park. So I'm concerned about those emergency vehicles. When you shut that road down and how you're going to get in and out, and there was 4 of them. There's 2 fire trucks and two police units. To direct traffic that's been there for many, many, many years into a parking lot, which creates a safety hazard, because now you're directing traffic from a main road on US Highway 1 down to Harrison Street, then make a right into a parking lot where people are coming and going for a shopping plaza next door, is asking for liability. It's asking for somebody to get hurt. There's no reason to close that road. You could cobblestone that whole road from US 1 all the way down to Indian River Drive, and it'll be effective. You could put some signs up there telling people to slow down. You can also put speed bumps there. They do it all along Indian River Drive. I'm concerned, but I want to take a minute and thank the city manager for getting this meeting put together, because me and the other property owner met with them privately and said, hey, there needs to be another public input on this, because this is the first time we saw the completed conceptual plan A and B. And I think that I was the one that took the drawings down to the veterans, the VFW, the American Legion, and all the other places that it's affecting. You know, as a property owner, we have a right to be contacted, especially when you got something going through Parks and Recreation and you got something going through zoning and it's going to the council. It affects our lifestyle. And we're within 500 feet. And I'm not sure if the attorneys are advising city council that you need to notice people. It's not fair. Real quick in closing, my wife, I don't mention her a few things. I'll be in the doghouse tonight, so she had indicated about the courts being down there, the volleyball courts. She doesn't think it's the highest and best use for waterfront property. There could be other places to put those. She's worried about the hazard to the vehicles and the pedestrians and the traffic, the potential to pollute the waterway. Second thing, relocate the children's park to a non-vehicle location off the river to behind City Hall or elsewhere. Create a pet-friendly water spray station instead of a children's park that includes environmental education, walk trail with edible landscape to serve homeless and also to teach self-growers. Harrison Street, again, she mentioned cobblestone to US 1, get it down to like 10, 15 miles an hour on that street. Be nice to have more parking. If you're going to have these big events down there, parking is going to be a major issue. So acquisition of other property for more parking could not hurt. Maybe create a trolley service from north end to south end. Big concern is when they decided to utilize those docks, they let those docks go in disrepair, I think intentionally, because they didn't want anybody using them. We use them all the time. And now they're giving them to law enforcement. And law enforcement's going to put their boats down there to patrol the river. Not sure when they went for that grant if that is permitted under the grant details, because that's supposed to be used for recreation, not for law enforcement. Now, the county went ahead and bought $1 million piece of property, the old fish house on Indian River Drive on the north end of the town.
Keep it on this context. We got to
Well, that's what I'm saying. Move your docks. You move the docks.
Forward. Keep it on the Riverview Park Master Plan.
Okay, well, move the docks to Riverview Park to that vacant land that's sitting vacant, and that's all boarded up. And it's closer to the inlet, so you can get out and save people a lot quicker. So I just wanted to mention that. It's my opinion. It's my thoughts. I just think that taking the few docks that this community has to use for the new boat that they purchased, $250,000 boat, is a concern of mine, okay? But with that being said also, another bathroom could be used down there. What they're doing is they're bringing in these out-of-town vendors, which is okay, but they don't pay taxes in the community. They take the money out of the community with them, and who knows if they even pay sales tax. And they shut my road down to my business. Now, you just think of, excuse me, hold on one second. So I want you to put yourself in my shoes, being there for over 32 years, and my neighbor's shoes, being there for many, many years, to just come along. And we are told by some of the people that do the vending, yeah, we need to have more vending, but you're going to affect businesses that have been there that pay taxes in this community for these out-of-towners to come in and sell stuff to us. It's not right. It's definitely not right. Nice to see some grills down there and exercise equipment.
Sir, we need to wrap it up. We've got a council meeting that we have to conduct, and we have a whole nother room, half of the room needs to speak.
Okay. With that being said, I'll leave you with this. Government is a trust, and the officers of the government are the trustees, and both are created for the benefit of the people. And I'll leave you with that.
Thank you. We're going around the room.
Thank you. My name's Andrea Ring. I live here in Sebastian. I've been on a couple of committees, and one committee I was on was the Natural Resource Board. I was chair of that board for the year I was here, and I am asking about the splash pad because it is my understanding that it needs to be renovated. And my question is it easier to renovate it or move it? My feeling is moving it and relocating it is a better choice than trying to renovate a piece of equipment that is not usable right now. It is not a usable splash pad. That's one question. Then the other question is don't move the memorial, please. And then I would rather go with the natural way of doing things. I don't like the cascade. I like the natural play area and the bird park and the bird. And having been on the Natural Resource Board and gone through Earth Day several times, we really do need to have parking for the vendors. That is one thing we really need to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Terry Megan. I think most people know me. My question is about parking. I can't tell from the plan whether the parking would increase or decrease. But despite that, even if there was some more off-site parking further away, a lot of the residents are not quite youngsters anymore. And during the last event we had, it was quite a walk from the end of the parking lot. You may want to consider some form, like the state police do for their picnic, a little trolley, a few golf carts, some way to move people into the main area from the far reaches of the parking lot. I don't, it would affect the plan only from providing for some right-of-way to do that. But it's a long walk from the ends of the parking lot to where the concessions were during the last event.
Thank you.
Grab her. I'll come back up here. Wind it up. Thank you.
Hi, I'll be really quick. I'm Christy Lenz. I'm a native here. Been here most of my life other than serving in the service. I would like to say, please don't move the memorial. I think that's been a pretty consensus of those who are in the military as veterans. And so with that being said, again, I hope we don't move that. I do have a question though. At that finger dock that's there, we have a kayak launch that's established there. Are we still gonna have access by vehicle to pull in there and offload the kayaks as we are today doing?
Yes.
Okay, and then what about the parking where we have the new additional parking on the south side? We have, I'm also a boater. We also have problems with, parking the trailers. I believe that, and I don't know if that's going to require a retention area like we did on the other side when we renovated that parking area.
Are you talking about in this area here?
Right. I'm worried that we're not going to have enough parking because we don't presently have enough parking for the trailers. So I'd like to know if that's going to be something. I mean, it looks less parking for me. It looks very organized, which is great. But is there also going to be a retention area that's going to be required for that area?
So we will have to provide for stormwater retention in certain areas, but what's shown on here would better delineate the trailer parking on days that we don't have events, so on your typical weekend, with the parking where you see the grass, that would be where the trailer parking would be allocated at.
Right.
So it better
that's just in that
delineate it and
middle
allocate
section.
it as to just a free-for-all parking as it currently is.
Okay. And are we still going to have pavilions within the park like we have now, like
Yes.
the little picnic pavilions, et cetera, those kind of things?
We're eliminating those big ones, but we will install, with the two big ones will go away, but we will install big ones that are within the park as well, yes.
Okay. And then you said that they're talking about like an amphitheater or something?
It's a permanent stage amphitheater setting.
Okay, and that is in the center or over by where the playground and et cetera? Or where the volleyball courts are? Kind of right in that, okay. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, my name's Pete. Yeah, she answered my question about the kayak dock. I don't think a floating dock's going to work either. I think the wind there is going to, but we do need vehicle access. One of the nice things about being down at that park is walking that riverfront, and there's just no shade there. And in the summertime, it is scorching. So if there could be more shade trees or some kind of sails or pavilions, more pavilions, that would really enhance the park.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Roshan Desai. I own Arpat Dry Cleaners, and I also have similar reservations about closing Harrison Street. We see traffic go through that road all day. We're there. It's going to go through the parking lot now. I have safety concerns. Pretty much everything Damien said, so I'm not going to repeat it. A couple of questions. If you move the splash pad in concept B, is there going to be a bathroom there? Is that number 5, or is that just a pavilion?
So it is currently a pavilion, but I have heard the restroom comments, so that is something we will take a look at for the entire park.
Okay. And in concept B, will the cascading waterfall still be there?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Hi, thanks. My name is Michelle Hennessy, and I'm from the Italian Cousin, and I'm in agreement with Damien and Raj also. I have a quick question. Can you guys move that back up where you can see our center a little bit? And is that brown area, this is concept B, that brown kind of turnaround there by the splash pad by Raj's place right there, is that going to be, in concept B, is that closed off, or is that accessible from that lot there?
It will be accessible. You'll come down Harrison and turn into a lot like you currently do if Harrison Street wasn't there.
Are you all aware I have been down here 24 times over 18 years because of the parking situation. I have 24 employees. There are 8 to 10 businesses, not including the gas stations, not including Damien's Bar, the No Name, and not even including Raj, in our center that are dramatically and frequently affected by the parking issues. And we have been down here over and over and over just to be kind of shoved aside. And now we're up to 10,000 people coming to the clam bake, 10,000 people, 5, 7, and 10,000 people. Can you point to me here while we're here where they're supposed to park? Because they're in my lot. I have to hire 4 people, listen, every time, every weekend, to police the parking lots. My young people, they are high school students in Sebastian, have been hit with beer bottles. They've been cussed at by the police officers in this town who are off duty coming. I'm telling you, my landlord is here. I sound a little frustrated because this has been dramatic. It affects every one of our businesses, and we pay taxes, significant amounts of taxes to this city and to the state of Florida. And I think before everybody gives their opinion personally, that these businesses need to have a private meeting about this project, because we are preparing to sign with this gentleman a lease that is long and intense, and I want to know what I am going to be facing over the next 15 years. This is dramatic. This is not a small thing. Where the aesthetics are, you know, you can cover as far as the memorial, we should not. It's disrespectful. These men are all getting up. They've all fought for this country. If they say don't move it, we should not move it. However, if we decide to do anything there, if it's hot, if it's uncomfortable, of course we can plant trees. We don't have to wait 10 years for that. We can take a look at any one of the parks in the state of Florida, any one of these parks up in Orlando, and see the misted fans and all that, and the partial coverages for the seasonality of our area. So that's a super easy fix. But I'm telling you guys, it is a huge problem, this parking. We need to designate, somebody said it, shuttle service. If they can do it for the Frog Leg Festival in Fellsmere on the dirt roads, they can certainly do it here. And we need to maybe have a private meeting with the businesses and the people that are directly affected by this type of project, because I'm telling you, I've been here 18 years, I am involved, and I have not heard anything about this until recently, the last 3 or 4 weeks, okay?
Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you, Joe.
No clapping.
Hello. Hi, I'm Joe Cataldo, Michelle's landlord. We have River Park Plaza right there. My concern would be, if you're going to close the road, that people coming up from the south along the river, if they miss the gravel driveway, what they're going to have to do is do a U-turn someplace. They'll probably go up and come back. But to get to the park, realistically, because of the median there, they're going to cut through our parking lot, because if they don't, they can't get through. They have to go down to the Walmart, cut through, the old Walmart, cut through. So at least it should be paved all the way, continuous, like Harrison just takes a winding path rather than be
It is paved all the way.
Oh, I asked
Contrary
that.
to what you've heard, it is paved all the way.
Oh, okay.
It will be with this plan, yes.
Okay, that's what I asked earlier, and I was told it was gravel. Okay. Because that is an issue with the way the real world circulates in that area. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Crystal Murdoch. I've lived here for 38 years, my entire life. Are you guys planning on removing any trees in the center of the park at all?
So currently, with the concept being no trees will be removed from the center of the park, I can't state in regards to the playground area, there may be something, there's some palm trees in that area that maybe have to be looked at, but that would come at the construction area when we get into formal design. But I can tell you, currently what we show here does not remove any trees within the center of the park.
Okay, a lot of people go there for the squirrels, the birds, to bird watch, all that stuff, and the trees are just amazing, give nice shade and cover.
We will preserve the canopy to all extent that we can.
That's amazing. Now with the splash pad, I feel moving it is going to cost more. And somebody also said, kids going back and forth to the playground could be an issue. You're bringing in dirt, water, mud happens. Kids are kids, There was another thing. With the playground, I have a 1.5-year-old. That thing is a death trap for little ones. It would be really nice for you guys to consider putting in a section for toddlers, babies, things that they can climb on, but safely, not something that's this high up where they can break their neck when they drop, fall down. Even with the splash pad, how are you guys going to be changing that or updating it? Or is there going to be a pool or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, that would all come in the construction phase, but I can tell you it would involve a new surface, not concrete. It would involve new elements with a spray ground splash pad type situation. The playground has to be replaced, I think, in the next 3 to 4 years anyways, so that's going to be replaced. The playground that's there now, I think there's one portion of it that is for 3 to 5 year olds and one that is for 5 to 12 year olds. But all of that will come once we get into the construction portion, and we will solicit public input with the design of the playground and also the splash pad.
Again, for little ones, it's just not, it's not safe. And maybe having a section by itself that's closed off and it states, it's for 1 and up, or, whatever, the age, that age right there. So just concerned for their safety, that's all.
Thank you. Really quick, I've got time for 2 other people because we've got a council meeting to conduct. So now I've got one here and one here. You good? Okay.
Hi, my name's Laura Dunn. I've been here for 25 years, something like that. Just in general, I was kind of waiting for this to come out at the very beginning, and then I thought, well, it would come out later. But it's not so much that I dislike any of this, but what's the overall purpose? What are we trying to achieve by what we're doing here?
Yeah, so as I mentioned at the very beginning, or during my discussion, we have to replace the splash pad, the playground's coming up for replacement, and also the stage. So in doing that, we were trying to figure out how we could pull the biggest amount of money that would help us with those elements. Splash pad, there isn't a grant that you're going to get for a splash pad. Let's just be honest. So that would come 100% out of the city. However, if we can pull it together with other elements in the park, it makes us eligible for grant funding and stuff like that. So then that's at that point, and we already had some plans to look at how do we address the overflow parking lot with the situation there. So a lot of those elements were kind of in play already. So we'd said, let's take a look at the entire park and look at a master plan for the entire park. That's why it initially has came up within the last 18 to 24 months is where it's kind of come from. And that was really the premise behind the whole plan. And what do we hope to get from it? An improved park. I mean, I get it. We love the park. We're going to save trees, all of that. That's not going to change. And to clarify, our thoughts on this is just to receive input today. We'll go back, revisit, kind of look at the plan, and then we will be bringing it to City Council for their consideration in the future. I think you had your hand up for a while. Yes, sir.
My name is Jack Thomas, and I live here in Sebastian. You did the plumbing in my house, Brody. That's why I recognize you. No problems in 5 years. Thank you. Quick question. There's a lot of memorial bricks that people have bought and purchased for family members, et cetera, that are around the clock tower and the Veterans Memorial. Are those going to be retained, or are they going to be dumped?
Yes, so if there was any movement on which obviously we've heard plenty of sentiment to not move the Veterans Memorial, but also in regards to the clock tower, if those elements are moved, those bricks will be moved and placed in the same exact setting and position that they currently are. Yes. All right, well, in kind of testing. In closing, I just want to say thank you to Kyler from Kimley Horn, and thank you to each and every one of you for coming out today. You provided some very valuable input. I'll be available. You can contact me at any time. City manager, you can call City Hall. You can email me. Parks and Recreation Director Richard Blankenship is in the back of the room as well. And you feel free, if you want to speak to me tonight, you can stay to the end of the council meeting, and I'll be happy to speak to you about anything in regards to this plan. But thank you all for coming out. Thank you. And feel free to reach out with any questions or comments that you have after the meeting. Thank you.